All right, today we're jumping into The $100 Startup. This book is basically a blueprint for how you can build a life filled with freedom and adventure. And get this, without a huge financial risk. Let's dive right in.
So, let's start with a guy named Michael. He's your typical corporate professional, doing pretty well for himself. But one day, everything changed the second he walked into his boss's office, and his boss just wouldn't make eye contact. You know that feeling? For him, everything just slowed down.
Look, getting laid off feels like the end of the world, right? It's a total shock. But for so many of the people in this book, that moment, getting handed that cardboard box, it wasn't the end. It was actually the unexpected push they needed to start something completely new.
And that brings us to our first big idea, the accidental entrepreneur. We're talking about successful small businesses that didn't start with some grand 10-year plan. Nope. They started out of a sudden, real, and often urgent need to just figure something else out. So Michael's job search? Yeah, it was going nowhere. Then, out of the blue, a friend offers him a truckload of closeout mattresses. I know, it sounds crazy, but he had nothing to lose, so he went for it. He started selling them from an old car dealership, and you know what? He built his amazing local business, famous for being the first to deliver mattresses by bicycle. How cool is that? And Michael's story, it's the perfect playbook for this whole thing. It's not about finding huge investors or writing a 100-page business plan. It's all about starting super small, launching fast, and figuring things out as you go. In this world, action is way more important than planning. In fact, action is the plan.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, how do I actually pull this off? Well, you don't need some world-changing invention. You don't need an MBA. The book argues you probably already have everything you need to get going, right now.
You know, the core recipe here is surprisingly simple. It all boils down to this. Find the spot where what you love to do or what you're good at overlaps with something other people genuinely need. That little intersection? That's your business idea just waiting for you.
Let's look at a real-world example. Take this guy, Brandon Pierce. He was a piano teacher. Loved the teaching part, but absolutely hated the admin stuff. The scheduling, the billing, you know the drill. And he figured, hey, other teachers must hate this too. So he built a simple software to fix that exact problem. And that solution, it turned into a business that now brings in over $30,000 a month.
Okay, so you've got your idea. Now what? Well, this next part is absolutely critical. How do you get people to actually buy what you're offering? The secret isn't in what you're selling, but how you sell it.
You gotta ask yourself this, because the answer is almost never what you think it is. People aren't just buying a product or a service. They're buying a feeling, an outcome, a transformation.
And this is where the magic happens. A feature is what your thing is. A benefit is how it makes someone feel. People don't buy a horse ride, they buy the feeling of being a cowboy for a day. They don't just want a recipe, they want the joy of quality time with their family. You're not selling the what, you're selling what it does for them. And that brings us to this amazing mantra from the book. Give them the fish. Basically, don't just sell them a fishing rod and some lessons. Sell them the delicious fish dinner. Your customers are busy. They want the result, not the process. Your job is to just give them that result.
All right, let's talk about the big one, the thing that stops almost everyone. It's that analysis paralysis, that fear of starting that comes from just overthinking everything. Look, the whole philosophy here is just do it. Forget perfection. You don't need a flawless website or a bulletproof business plan. You just need to get moving. Find your idea, make a simple offer, pick a price, find a few people who'll buy it, launch it, and then you make it better as you go.
And this story just nails the point home. There was this photographer who kept putting off launching his website. He kept saying, oh, I'm just fixing some technical stuff. But later he admitted it was just fear. The night he finally faced that fear and just hit publish, he made his very first sale within 2 weeks. Progress, not perfection, every single time.
So why do all this? Why go through the uncertainty in the work? Well, it all leads up to the real prize. And it's not just about making some extra cash. It's about completely redesigning your life around something way, way bigger. It's really about designing a life, and you don't need a huge pile of cash to do it. For the hundreds of entrepreneurs studied in this book, the median startup cost was just $125. It's all about being clever, not about having deep pockets. And that freedom, well, it's the ultimate reward. But there's a catch, a kind of warning, really. Once you get a taste of what it feels like to be in charge of your own time, your own work, your own life, it's almost impossible to go back to playing by someone else's rules.
So we'll leave you at that. The blueprint is right here. The cost is super low, and the tools have never been easier to get your hands on. The only question left is, what are you waiting for?